Hi back, Podsters. I am coming in hot with a really fun topic. First of all, before I get started, who else loves October? I love this month. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's the last month here in New England before it really gets cold. Cold. So we soak up these October days. I love it. Yeah, that's it. I love October. Okay. So, what we're going to talk about today, we are going to talk about acting as if. And I honestly can't remember why this came to my mind. I can't remember why. And I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks and it keeps coming up. So, as you know, this is what happens. I have this idea. I say, hey, maybe I'll talk about this. And then everywhere I go, this is what I see. So, and talk about acting as if to get you closer to this outcome that you're desiring, whatever it may be. Maybe it's, hold on. I'm going to take the microphone. I'm going to pull a Dr. Audra Lance. She takes the microphone and she sits back and she holds it like she's a Beyonce. It's kind of awesome. If you follow her, then you know this. Anyway, so I'm talking about acting as if to get you closer to this outcome or to this version of you or to this goal. And it's kind of like visualization, but on steroids. And what makes me think about this is, or what makes this really so important in my life is visualization. We know that visualization is a really powerful tool. We know it's a powerful tool in medicine. We know it's a powerful tool with athletes. We know it's a powerful tool really with everything. So, professional sports, I just mentioned that. Anyway, here's what I want to tell you that I found on the information superhighway, also known as the World Wide Web. Imagery allows the athlete to sense and see the transformational process of recovery as the body responds via the natural effects of healing. So this imagery helps them visualize the healing, which further promotes the healing. In medicine, this visualization or seeing it helps treat asthma, anxiety, insomnia, and it can help the body's immune response. This is what blows me away. So it helps your body's immune response. Guided imagery may cause changes in heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing. Using imagery has been shown to support disease remission and increase immune response. So we're not going to talk about breathing, blood pressure, or any of this stuff. We're going to talk about if we know that visualization works in science, medicine, science, why then wouldn't we assume that it has the same impact on our daily lives or our goals or who we want to be? It would. So why don't we do this more? Or can we do this more? Should we do this more? And let's do this more. And I think it's really important. This is important. I'm not talking about sitting on your couch, communing with the universe, and manifesting abundance to have $1 million in your bank account. That would be nice. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is kind of low key declaring it and then acting as if it is a foregone conclusion. Winning is the only option here. So you're acting as if, of course, this is going to happen. In fact, I'm already there. I'm going to write a book that's a bestseller. I'm going to bring in new clients. I'm going to raise my fees. I'm going to help thousands of women. I'm actually working with someone on this right now. She's writing a book. Actually, she's coming to the Do the Thing retreat so she can bang out her book plan. She's probably going to bang out 2/3 of her book as well. And if you're not signed up yet, doors close October 7th. So there's a link in the show notes, 2.5 days, Naples, Florida. We're going to step out of our day to day, brainstorm, work together, map out this thing, whatever this thing is, the career change, the next chapter, whatever it is. So if you haven't talked to me about it yet, click the link in the show notes. It'll get you to me. We can talk about it because doors are closing in a few days. Anyway, she's coming to the retreat to really, that's acting as if she's doing it. Yes, I'm doing it. It is happening. If you want to switch careers and do what you love to do and only what you love to do, act as if you're already doing it. You're getting your brain used to this idea. You're getting your brain used to this version of you. And here's an expert opinion, because as we are big believers in your mind and the subconscious mind here on Unmute Yourself, the podcast. So I spoke with our favorite subconscious mind strategist Brenda Johnston. And I asked her, I said, listen, I need some real facts on how your subconscious reminds, how your subconscious mind reacts when you act as if. And she said, what's not surprising, your subconscious mind, when you start acting as if, it starts aligning itself with that version of you that already has what it is you're seeking, that already is the person you want to be, that has that outcome that you're desiring. Your subconscious can't distinguish between what's real or what's imagined. It simply follows this new narrative. Therefore, when you embody this new version of you, you're already starting to rewire the old beliefs. You are acting as if, and that is impacting your beliefs. You are rewiring your brain, and you're opening up your brain to new possibilities. That's amazing. That's amazing. We have the power to do this. And over time, this mindset creates a ripple effect, which gets you, or which matches to this elevated state. And this is from the expert, Brenda Johnston. So it's very powerful, particularly when you're trying to bridge a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Again, I'm not saying it's tricking. I'm not even saying fake it till you make it. It's more like, and Amy Cuddy did this in her TED Talk, which, as you know, I love. It's fake it till you believe it, or fake it, in my opinion, fake it till you become it. Okay, so let's talk about how we can do this. So there is a vision exercise that, if you've been here a while, you know I am a very huge fan of. There is a link in the show notes, and it's a very simple creative exercise. And even if you're not creative, it's super fun, where you map out, what is this going to look like specifically, whatever it is. So let's say, so the vision exercise, the way I use it with clients, one-on-one clients, is say, okay, 5 years from now, this life that you want to be living, what does it look like specifically? What kind of house? Who's around you? What does the house look like? Who's in the yard? How far are you from the mountains or the beach or whatever? What's in your refrigerator? Like, we get really, really, really detailed. And when you get really, really detailed, you start to make it real, and you have to think about it. You're naming it, you're seeing it, and you are subconsciously planning for it. And again, as Brenda mentions, rewiring those old beliefs so that you are believing that this is possible for you. You're you're getting your mind to understand, yes, this is possible. And in my opinion, when you believe it's possible, it becomes a foregone conclusion. It's when we don't think it's possible that we limit ourselves. So back to the vision exercise. What is your life gonna look like specifically? And then you can act as if. I'm gonna give a playful example here. Let's say I want to act as if I am living in my home in Tuscany. Okay. I need to be really specific with the vision exercise. What does the home look like? Is it built into the mountains? Are there those beautiful cypress trees? What does the kitchen look like? Who's with me? Do I have visitors? Am I with my family? I mean, I'm living there, so obviously, hopefully, I'm with some family. Is there a pool? Are there animals? All of it, very, 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 very detailed. So, what does this life look like? All right, that then it becomes in my brain. I'm like, okay, well, really, this is what it's going to look like. There you go. Here's where I'm going. Here's where I'm going. How can you get where you need to go if you don't know where you're going? This is key. I'm going to say it again. How can you get to where you need to be if you don't know where that is, if you don't know where you're going? It's like a GPS. You don't get into your car and just say to the GPS, take me to a restaurant. You say, take me to this restaurant. You're very specific. Anyway, so you visualize this home in Tuscany, and then you start acting as if. So maybe you start reading more articles about Italy. Thus, you're learning more about Tuscany, or wherever you may want to be. You start to see how you can migrate to Italy. When you're reading these articles, you see, okay, well, here's what I need to do. Here's what other people have done. The accounts you follow, if you're on social media, thus you're learning more. You're learning about the market. You're seeing more. You're getting to know this new version or this new life. Maybe you're even interacting with different people. You start to gravitate towards different people. You start to talk about it. And this is where the magic happens. This is where confirmation bias works for you. So many times we look at bias as if it's a bad thing. We all have bias. I'm not going to get into all of that. When I talk about confirmation bias, this is using it for you. And confirmation bias simply states that when you act as if or when you believe something, your brain and your bias will call in people, data, facts, situations to support that belief. So, again, acting as if it triggers the belief that triggers your confirmation bias. Okay. So, let's say you want to change careers. When you start acting as if, you start calling in people, data, situations, conferences, networking, examples. You start becoming hyper aware of this career change. Let's say you want to go in a completely different industry, and you start to embed yourself in that industry. So again, you're already there, and you're already acting as if, and you're already calling in all these people, which makes the transition so much easier. So the other benefit of low key declaring or claiming or acting as if, you're socializing this with others and you're socializing this with yourself. And I think that's incredibly important. The aspect of socializing it with yourself, if you don't believe it, how's anybody else going to believe it? And I remember when I first left the company that I worked for 25 years, great company. When I first left, and people would ask me what I do, I would say, well, I used to work for so and so, and now I do this. And I did that a lot, and it felt weird. And that doesn't make sense. I was so used to, oh, I work for this company that, and it was so part of my identity that I was still holding on to that. It was, oh, well, I used to do this, and now I'm doing this. And I wasn't myself, I wasn't really sure who I was, which is very odd. It's a very interesting place to find yourself. I wasn't acting as I was. I wasn't acting as who I am. I was acting as who I used to be. And I was acting if I wasn't sure. I was acting as if I wasn't established or successful. I I was saying, well, I used to do this and now I'm a public speaker. That's not very convincing to myself or anybody. So even if I wasn't sure, which I wasn't, because I was still trying out my new business, or I was still developing my new business, I noticed I was doing this and I corrected the behavior. And it was not natural. I had to specifically say to myself, okay, you have to stop doing that. What do you do? I'm a public speaker. I train women how to advocate for themselves at work. I teach women how to step into their strengths and advocate for themselves and own the room, whatever the case may be. So I corrected the behavior that impacted my confidence, which impacted my ability to stay the course and do the thing. So if I hadn't changed how I was saying it, it would have continued to impact my confidence. And I think that would have changed the outcomes. I really think it wasn't. It would have. And then I started noticing this like a year later. I started noticing this with other people. And I had a friend who changed organizations within her company. And I was with her and she was introducing herself and she would say, oh, well, I used to be with this team and now I'm with this team. And I remember it sounded really odd. And it shows the world how you see yourself, which is, I used to be this and now I'm this. Well, that's not very powerful. Instead, you could show the world how you are. I do this. Why do you have to put the disclaimer in there? I used to do this and now I do this. It's really, really, really interesting. And for those of you who are getting close to retiring, which I know are many people, for those of you whose kids are flying the coop, which I know are many people, and you're stepping into this next chapter, it's very unsettling. And we're going to talk about this and how you can kind of reframe or rephrase how you're describing this chapter of your life. If you see yourself as, I used to work for this company, now I'm not really sure what I'm doing, that's all right. And that might be accurate. Is this how you want to see yourself? Or do you want to see yourself as, let's say you're transitioning in between careers. Let's say you're in between jobs. Do you want to see yourself as, well, I used to be in pharmaceutical sales and now I'm looking at, I don't know, uh public speaking. I'm just throwing that out there. Or do you want to say, when someone says, what do you do? Oh, right now I stepped out of my career so that I could take a break and get myself ready for my next chapter. Boom. Right. Listen to the difference. Well, I used to be in pharmaceutical sales and now I'm figuring out what I want to do. Or right now I'm taking a break so that I can, again, launch my next chapter. It's nuanced. And I'm telling you, Podsters, it makes a very, very big difference. Let's talk a little bit about retirees. Some of you, Podsters, I think it's about 20% of you are approaching the age of retirement. And that's very unsettling for a lot of people. And I hear a lot, there's a lot of retired people where I live. And I hear a lot of them say, well, I used to work for IBM and now I'm retired. And that, to me, that really breaks my heart because that's their identity. Their identity is still tied up there with IBM. Instead, if people say, what do? They can say, I play golf. I travel the world with my spouse. I enjoy the fruits of my labor and I do basically anything I want to. Right. So think about the difference there. Well, I used to work for IBM and now I'm retired versus what do? I do anything I want to. Anyway, I'm digressing because this is top of mind for me because I know a lot of you are starting to think about this and you got to get yourself mentally ready for this. And we can talk about that. If you want to talk about that on a podcast episode, shoot me a note, hit me up on Instagram, wherever you find me. All right, let's talk about moms whose kids are flying the coop and you are slightly freaked, slightly uncertain, not really sure where you are going to fit in this whole thing. If you think about it, if your life was your children and raising your children and now they're done, what does that mean for you? For you, that means it's whatever you want it to be. How do you want to be? How do you want to see yourself? Being unsure is fine. That's natural. And at the same time, after you figure out what's next, you can start acting as if, what's going on with your family? My kids are out of the house. My husband and I are traveling the world, or my kids are out of the house. And now my partner and I, we're slowing down to smell the roses. My kids are out of the house, so I get to pursue my passion for XYZ. I'm working for this startup and enjoying quality time with, my grandkids or whatever the case may be. It could even be my kids are out of the house and I'm looking at my options for my next chapter. What I want to make sure you're not doing is saying my kids are out of the house and I'm not really sure. It's okay to be unsure. I want us all to reframe that and think about my kids are out of the house and now I get to spend time on me because you deserved it and you earn it. And this is a lot of you. This is a lot of you. Those who work for a corporate environment, those who have your own businesses, those who spent your life dedicated to your family. It doesn't matter. If you're a mom and your kids are leaving the house, this is significant. So what do you want that next chapter to look like? And then you start acting as if. Sometimes I hear people say, if I win or if I get the new job. And in a playful manner, I'll say to them, you mean when? When you win or when you get the new job, when you switch careers, when you launch the podcast, when you speak on big stages. It's subliminal and it's small and it has a significant impact. I don't want to hear if. I mean, there are certain cases where it's appropriate. If you're talking about your desired outcome, there's no if. It is when. It is 100% when. Think back to the subconscious mind. If you're saying if, you're telling your subconscious mind maybe. No, we should be telling our subconscious mind when this happens. Then you bring it along with you and it helps support you in reaffirming that it is possible. That's what we're looking at. I'm going to try versus I'm going to do. So this is the difference. Even the sheer act of, or the mere act of thinking about acting as if, you're getting yourself into that mental headspace so that you are ready for whatever this is that you're the outcome that you're looking for. You're getting it in your head. And I remember I was at a workshop, and I think I talked about that. I might have talked about this on the last podcast, the last time I had Brenda on the podcast. And I was talking about how I was going to blow it out. I was going to blow out my business. It was going to be a gangbuster year, and it was. And I was using some really powerful words, and Brenda turned to me and she said, "Well, what happens if you get all this and your subconscious mind, you don't really want it? You realize that you don't really want it." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, you're saying that you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do the other thing. What if it comes and it's not what you want?" And I remember thinking at the time, "What? You're nuts." And then that happened. And I'm telling you this because I acted as if I was there. I was there. My head was there. It was no, no, no. This isn't I'm going to try. This isn't my goal is to do this. No. This is it. I am doing this. This is the tipping point we are experiencing as we speak, and it happened. I blew it out. I did everything that I said I was going to do. And side note, at the end of the day, I wasn't really ready for it. So this is how you think and what you say impacts your outcomes. So I said what I said. I did it, and my subconscious mind hadn't caught up. And it was a situation, Podsters. It was, because I was like, whoa. I couldn't handle everything that was coming my way. I wasn't ready for it. So I tell you the story to demonstrate the power of acting as if, and the power of your subconscious mind, and making sure that it's coming along with you. Okay, that was a lot to unpack, Podsters. That was a lot. Here's what I want to leave you with. It doesn't matter how small, it doesn't matter what it is. I promise you, if you truly, truly believe that it's possible, it is. I have always believed this. It really is. It is. End of the day, if you truly believe it's possible, and you really want it, that's the other thing, because you might not really want it. If you truly believe it's possible and you do really want it, and you start acting as if, it is only a matter of time until the rest of the world catches up with you. I promise. And on that note, Podsters, I'm going to peace out and see you next week. We have some special guests coming up too in November. I have actually 2 special guests. I'm going to keep you hanging, and I will be back next week to tell you all about it. Till then, Podsters, peace out and enjoy October.